Hi, my name is Kendall.
And I'm Layla.
And today we will be discussing our trip to the interior Douglas fir forest just east of Kamloops. We traveled to the Douglas fir dominant ecosystem, which is located up the Pritchard-Penettan Road on the north side of the Thompson River. This location is around 850 meters in elevation on a south-facing slope, receiving plenty of sunlight, but also making it susceptible to dry conditions.
Savanna-like stands of Douglas fir act as a buffer between the patches of grassland on one side and the denser canopy closed-in forest on the other, with an understory composed mainly of bunch grasses and fescues.
This area showcased a limited variety of trees, but most likely due to the dry site conditions. The dominant tree species were interior Douglas fir, Pseudotsuga menziesii, ponderosa pine, Pinus ponderosa, and Rocky Mountain juniper, Juniperus scopulorum.
We used the unique three-pronged bracts extending from the cone scales, which look like mouse tails, of the Douglas fir to identify it. The foliage exhibits flattened, yellowish-green needles, pointed terminal buds, and primarily conical crown boundaries with ascending, arrow-shaped branch patterns. The bark is grayish-brown, with deep furrows present in the older trees. This tree is known to grow in a variety of conditions and soil types.
The interior Douglas fir is an important tree for animals, as it provides seeds for our birds and other critters, as well as foliage for caterpillars and sap in their bark for hungry bears.
Indigenous communities often use the wood for fire, fish hooks, handles, and snowshoes, and the branches can be used for bedding. The wood was also used for construction.
Commercially, the Douglas fir is most oftenly used for construction and industrial purposes, as it has strong wood that is resistant to buckling. It is great for window trim, furniture, housing, and other construction purposes.
The other prominent tree species in this area was ponderosa pine. We used the characteristic bark in identifying it, as it has distinct puzzle piece-like flaky plates. The pom-pom foliage was also used to identify this tree, as it varies from the Douglas fir foliage. We also used the long evergreen needles, which are in bundles of 3, to identify this tree. Most of the trees in this ecosystem were young, so we found no cones to document.
Like the Douglas fir, the seeds are often eaten by birds and other animals.
Ponderosa pines were often scraped out to make canoes, cradles, and ladles by indigenous peoples. The sap can be chewed and applied to sores, and the branches were used as lining in floors and beds. The sap could also be used to waterproof items like moccasins.
The wood of this tree is extremely versatile and can be used in any phase of construction and woodworking, as well as an export wood.
The final tree we found in this area was Rocky Mountain juniper, which is a small, bush-like tree with scaly leaves. It has pale brown twigs and an irregular conical-shaped crown, and is found in dry, rocky zones. It is found mostly under stands of Douglas fir and ponderosa pine as a shrub layer, or can be grown in open stands.
This shrubby tree's foliage is often eaten by ungulates, and the fleshy arrows are consumed by plenty of birds and squirrels.
This tree has many indigenous uses. It was often carved to make bowls and spoons, and the boughs were boiled to use as a disinfectant. They were also used while smoking meat. The berries were used to make teas, as well as treat stomach pains.
Juniper is often used to flavor gin and meat, and has also been found to have an antibiotic and natural antioxidant effect, as well as other medicinal properties. It does not have any official lumber uses, but is rot resistant when cured and can be used for fence posts.
In our outing, we also found a variety of plants, including toadspelt lichen, tall Oregon grape, red osier dogwood, and some native bunch grasses. This forest is really good for grazing, and the farmers in the area often use it for cattle. There was also some evidence that a few species of ungulates have made their way through this area.
This area has recently been logged, and one area in particular was replanted with an abundance of ponderosa pine. We found this interesting as many of the ponderosas have been outgrown by the old Douglas firs, and only young or dead trees were present. One thing we did encounter while driving down an elevation was the gradual increase of ponderosa pine and a decrease in Douglas fir trees.
This forest is very versatile, and there's a variety of uses that the area can provide economically and ecologically.